Welcome to dkameraTV with a short hands-on impression of the FujiFilm X-E2. Successor to the X-E1, little sibling to the X Pro 1. Similar with all these cameras is the sensor. It's Fuji's X-Trans APS-C CMOS sensor, and what makes it so special is the array of the color filter, which is different from all the other sensors that are currently on the market. X Pro 1 has the hybrid optical and electronical viewfinder. The X-E series only has the electronic viewfinder. The X-E2's viewfinder has the same resolution, 2.3 million pixels, as the X-E1's, but the picture refresh rate is a bit faster, so that especially in low light, this viewfinder is a bit nicer to use. Let's take a look at the camera body and then at the menus and the display screens of the camera. On the front of the camera, we have first and foremost the X-mount bayonet, including the X-Trans CMOS sensor that we already talked about. We have the release button for the lens. We have an AF assist light, as well as a little switch to select the focusing mode. On the top of the camera, first and foremost, we find the shutter speed dial, which is not typical for a camera of this format, of this price class. On most cameras we have a regular mode dial featuring P, A, S and M modes. More on how this works a bit later. We have a pop-up flash on the top. We have an exposure compensation dial, shutter button, on-off switch and a function button. New on the X-E2 is the Wi-Fi capability, which means that you can wirelessly transmit pictures to your smartphone or to your computer. On the back of the camera, the first thing that we notice is the large 3-inch display. It's grown a bit in size as compared to the X-E1, also in resolution. Now it has a little bit over 1 million pixels, whereas the X-E1 screen only had 460,000. The button layout also is a bit different. We have another function button on the X-E2. The AF button has moved to this position. The quick menu button has also moved a bit. Overall, though, the two cameras are very similar. One of the other main differences is that the new sensor of the X-E2 supports phase detection autofocus, thanks to phase detection pixels being located on the sensor. On this side of the camera, we have all the connectivity options. We have a jack for a menu and a remote control at the top. Then there's an HDMI connector as well as a USB connector. Finally, on the bottom of the camera, we find the compartment for the battery and the SD card, as well as the tripod mount. So let's take a look at the menus of the camera as well as the display options. In recording mode, we have a choice between an information screen. This is useful especially when we're using only the viewfinder. Alternatively, we can use live view with a number of different options to display information. The same goes for the playback menu. We can choose between plain image playback, a ratings option, as well as various image information. The menus overall are similar to those of the X-E1. Most noticeable in this case in the X-E2 is the higher resolution of the screen, which makes the menus much more readable and much nicer to use. A lot of different options in the menus as regards the recording parameters, the image parameters, as well as some of the hardware settings of the camera. As already mentioned, what makes Fuji's X-series cameras so special is that they are very photographer-centric, sporting a shutter dial as well as an aperture dial, just the way that you have it on professional DSLRs or on manual SLR cameras from the film era. Now, how does this work? Well, the shutter dial has an A position for automatic, which means that when the dial is set to A, then the camera will choose the correct shutter speed. Setting a manual shutter speed will bring us to shutter priority mode. On the lens, there's a switch to choose automatic aperture or manual aperture. When both are set to manual, then of course we are in full manual mode. When both are set to automatic, then we are in program mode. Selecting either manual aperture or manual shutter will bring us to shutter priority or to aperture priority mode. So much for a little hands-on video with the FujiFilm X-E2. We hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.